I would like to welcome ma'am once again on the second parliamentary session of the World Teen Parliament. A very warm welcome, ma'am. Over to you, Dr. Kiran Bedi.
Thank you, Mr. Daksh Kaur. Thank you for this honor and privilege. Thank you, Dipali, for your kind words. Rockefeller has been a part of the Maxasay Foundation, I'm aware of. So I couldn't thank you earlier, but let me say thank you because you were anyway part of the award. Thank you, children. I want to thank you all. It's for me a great honor to see the future teen leaders, teen parliamentarians. I'm sure you all looking forward to being there where you are preparing for. I have had a great experience with elected representatives and parliamentarians. I've written in detail my experience of fearless governance in my latest book called Fearless Governance. It's available on Amazon, also on Kindle. If you're interested in seeing the way that fearless governance was done, feel free, but we will be sharing with you, even through Mr. Daksh Kaur, my soft copy with our compliments from the publisher. All of you will get a soft copy if you wish. Hard copy you can pick up, but soft copy would be with our compliments. So go through that book and you will get to know. In that, I've given a model of fearless governance, which will come to you in good stead as you grow up to be. Now, I want to tell you, children, that you don't become fearless when you are 50, 40, 30. You start being fearless at this age, and they call the early leadership. And this is what my learning. At that time, I did not know with my career how important it would be to be fearless. But what fearlessness is exactly what you're doing. You are all into very early leadership. You are taking risks. You're being courageous. And you are going the extra mile. This is all about courage because you're competing on merit and you're deserving. And had you not done this on such a meritorious way, you wouldn't have come this far. So you're already into very early leadership. And I can assure you that this is going to make you fearless. However, you can read the book when you get the time so that you get the capsule of fearless leadership when you become, much before you become the leaders in public domain. Now, I want to say that before you decide to lead the others, lead yourself. That's the key. That's the key, is how do you lead yourself? And here are my little nuggets for you. This is what I did because I was very well groomed by my parents and my school, and this is how it helped me. I want to say being your own leader means that you plant honesty to reap trust. You will plant goodness to reap friends. You must plant humility to reap greatness. You must sow perseverance to reap victory. You must sow consideration to reap harmony. You must sow hard work to reap success. You must sow forgiveness to earn reconciliation. Because these are all the traits. If you be conscious of them at this age, you will be having all these as you grow. Because a leader is all of these qualities, all of them. You never know which quality comes your way. You reap, you sow. You sow forgiveness, you reconciliation. You sow openness, you reap intimacy. You show patience, you see improvements. You sow faith, you reap miracles. I want to now share with you a thought which the world's most renowned monk of India, Swami Vivekananda, said. It's not the beauty of a building you should look at. It's the construction of the foundation that will stand the test of time. You are at that stage. We are bringing you all together out for the construction of that foundation. And you are all nurturing and building this foundation. What I've asked you to sow is going to strengthen your foundation to be what you want to be. This was said by David Allan Coe. Now, Swami Vivekananda said, pick up one idea. He said, take up one idea. Make that one idea your life. Well, Dipali talked a lot about the earth. One idea. Pick up that one idea. Take up one idea. Make that one idea your life. Think of it. Dream of it. Live on that idea. Let the brain, the muscles, the nerves, every part of your body be full of that idea, and just leave every other idea alone. This is the way to success. This is what was said by Swami Vivekananda, the most renowned monk the world has produced. I would further say that start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. This was said by Saint Francis. And then I will add 2 more minutes to this, is learning the ABCD of freedom. AB, constantly continue to improve your ability in whatever you are. Understand your boundaries. That's called the rule of law. Is being peaceful, non-violent, following the law, the constitutions of the government. That is B for ABC, A for ability. Keep enhancing ability, because we are into changing times, revolutionary times, transformative times, and you are the ones who are going to move into the next century. You are our next century. I will not see the next century. You will. You will be carrying forward this century into the next century. So B for boundaries. Be very careful that we take the word towards greater peace. So we stay within the bounds of rights and responsibilities. C is for being very conscientious behavior, very consciousness performance, and D for duty. We all know our rights. We are all talking about our rights as leaders, but as citizens. But what as leaders, we start focusing more on our duties. Everybody's rights are protected. Everybody's rights. So children, this is what my little message in these 10 minutes allocated. We will be open to more Q&A, but remember the ABCD of freedom. Remember the Swami Vivekananda's message of one idea, and remember, be your gardener, be a leader first within you for all the traits I've shared with you. These will all be part of your foundation. And once your foundation is strong, nobody will be able to shake you up. You'll stand like a rock anywhere you are. You may become a public servant leader. You may become a corporate leader. You may be becoming a community leader. You may be becoming an elected leader. Nothing will shake you. India needs the strong foundation leaders, men and women of integrity, men and women of courage, men and women of conviction. This is the leadership required at the moment, be it at the United Nations or be as heads of countries or in the corporate world. Wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I think you gave a super amazing, again, snippets of knowledge that these teenagers and teen MPs can take with themselves, keep it with themselves, because actually at the World Teen Parliament, we asked them to answer a very simple question that they have to answer, is that how will I improve the world? This parliament cannot make legislation, but this parliament can take a small little steps and small little actions that could improve the world around them. And that's what we are trying to tell them through this complete process, that think on things on your individual grounds, that what small little change can you make? Because if these small little changes coagulate and accumulate, the world would automatically change. And we need to have a leadership that thinks of the world around them as social entrepreneurship, not just as legislations and policymakers, because we all know that there are gaps that now need to be filled even in the policy space. So thank you so much, Kiran, Bedi ma'am, for sharing these amazing snippets with us. And all the teenagers, start with the necessary, do the possible, impossible will happen on its own. Continue with this feeling and keep working on the ideas that you gave and on the basis of which you became a member of parliament of the World Teen Parliament. Now, without taking a lot of time, it's now the time to ask questions. And these questions our teen MPs and influencers will ask you themselves. And we hope that you'll be kind enough to answer them and give them some answers that would inspire them for the coming days ahead. I would like to invite Hannah Thomas, the class 11 student from Siddhartha Central School from Kollam, Kerala, to ask her question to Dr. Kiran Bedi. Hannah, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, ma'am. My name is Hannah Thomas, and I am from Siddhartha Central School, Kerala. My question is, ma'am, in your point of view, what should be the base of World Teen Parliament as compared to the parliaments in our country? So that's my question. Thank you.
Sorry, come again. What is the base what? Hannah, say it again. Hannah, repeat your question.
Ma'am, my question is, in your point of view, what should be the base of World Teen Parliament as compared to the parliaments in our country?
Base of worthy parliament as compared to the parliament in our country?
Yeah, the core of the World Teen Parliament, according to you, in your point of view, ma'am.
The core of the world parliament or the Indian parliament?
No, the World Teen Parliament, the Teens
World
Parliament.
Teen Parliament.
Yeah.
Look, there are very many crying issues, very many crying issues. There cannot be one core. There are many cores. So the parliament must debate, identify the cores, and then pick up those cores as then you can form smaller groups, and those groups then can focus on those cores. You cannot, at the moment, the world is full of challenging issues. There's just not one, and they're very interconnected. They're very interconnected. That means we identify the list of the cores, I prioritize them simultaneously and work absolutely together holistically and comprehensively. Do not stop at one core. Go ahead and you can form smaller groups of select committees or smaller groups, cabinets, small cabinets, but work simultaneously on the pressing issues which the parliament could identify. So identify core issues and work simultaneously. This is what I would say. I'll not say one. I'll not say there's no just one. There are at the moment many which must be addressed simultaneously. Otherwise, other core issues will become urgent. So it's address all urgent issues, then come to the important and less important, but go for all the urgent. So let the parliament decide what are these urgent issues.
Thank you, ma'am.
The next question comes from Swati Mohanty from the NRI International Public School from Bhadrak, Odisha, for Dr. Kiran Bedi.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
So my question is that, what are those fears, according to you, that a person should overcome to form a fearless government?
What type of?
Ma'am, what are those fears that a person should overcome to form a fearless government? Thank you, ma'am.
What type of fears a person must overcome for fearless governance?
Yes, ma'am. To form a fearless government.
First of all, have a sense of internal. First of all, have authenticity about yourself. If you have integrity within you, then you are not afraid. You begin with honesty of purpose and honesty in all your dealing. Moment you're honest in what you do, that gives you an internal courage. Honesty with ability and a sense of inner security gives you that courage. You're honest, no skeletons in the cupboard. Number two, you are capable and able, right? Second. And third, you are internally secure. You are not afraid to travel any part of India for any transfer if something happens or anything. You are internally secure, right? Once you have this integrity with a sense of courageous sense of purpose, you are internally secure. You can then take on. But if you have something to hide, you are afraid. But you got nothing to hide, but everything to give, you are not afraid.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
The next question comes all the way from Spain. Carla Torrecosta, our MP from Spain. Question for Ms. Dipali Khanna. Carla, over to you.
Hi, I'm Carla, and my question is, what made you think of the World Teen Parliament as something special for you to come here and talk to us? Thank you.
Hola, Carla. That's the only Spanish. That's the only muchas gracias and hola. Those are the two words I can speak in Spanish. So I think, of course, I'm very passionate about working with children and young people. Out of my 38 years of service, I think half of it, or more than half of it, has been working with young people. So for me, it was really important, and I feel privileged to be in the august company of all of you, because I truly believe that the future is in your hands, And, whatever we can do to share our experiences, to be able to help you be in a position where you can make the right choices and be able to dream bigger and bolder is where, I see the future. So you are really, you're not even the future, you're the now for all of us, the hope and everything comes from you all. So the more I can spend time, and whenever I get an opportunity to do so, I don't shy away from that, and feel truly blessed, and I would be more than happy to do all I can to really make sure even when you are not around. So when I as I was told, I work with the Rockefeller Foundation, and I have to make decisions and choices around where we should be investing, what are the kind of issues we need to be tackling. So even if I'm not talking to you, one of the lens that I keep in front of me is, what would young people be saying if they were sitting with me and they were part of this decision making? How am I making a difference in the lives of young people? Am I leaving a better planet? Am I leaving a more equitable public health system? Is the education system really ensuring that, the poorest of the poor children can get the same access to the richest of children? So I think, even when I'm not with you, I am keeping young people at the center of all my decision making. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
The next question comes from Sarah Sablok from the Icon Public School from Ahmednagar in Maharashtra for Deepali ma'am. Sarah, over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Okay, ma'am, I'd like to firstly tell you that Deepali ma'am, what you're doing is amazing, and I plan on taking the same career path as you. So how much do you think it matters? Like, if you had done something differently at school, do you think it would have affected you now? How much do you think our academic progress of those who want to do the same you're doing would have mattered?
I think, to be honest with you, Sarah, it was not so much around the academic side of what I did, but the practical side of what I was able to experience. So, I came from a very humble family. I had the privilege of studying in a convent school because my father hadn't studied too much, and he knew that the success for his daughter would be in her getting the best of education. So, he made sure I went to the convent school. But then I was growing up, we had a farm, and, we had, of course, a lot of refugees from Bangladesh who were living around our farmland. So I spent a lot of my time interacting with kids who were obviously not privileged to go to school also. So I think besides my school, my real-time experiences of how I could interact with those that didn't have what I had and learn from them and contribute to what they were trying to do was really important. So I think for me, just try and also look around you. Your school experience is obviously important, but as you're doing that, also, try and see how you're giving back to, other people around you, other issues that are really important. And, age is not an issue. If you think, well, I'm in school right now, why should I be taking on these other things? I think that would not be the right approach. The other thing is, of course, I have grown-up kids now. But what I was always doing also, as they were growing up, I would take them to the remotest of remote villages in India where I would go and work, So whether that meant walking when they were 6 years old for about 10 kilometers, I would drag them along. That for them was such an amazing experience, because we all privileged. All of us who are here today are privileged in one way or the other. But really to appreciate where and how others are kind of encountering and kind of trying to overcome the issues was a very, very powerful experience. So I went through it myself, and I made my children also go through it. So, the whole orientation that we have as a family of not thinking about ourselves, but really questioning the larger piece as to, what are we doing to really bring about change in other people's lives? How are we giving back? How are we really contributing towards making this world a better place is one of the things that is constantly kind of, as a family, as an individual, uppermost in my mind. So that is what I would encourage you to do.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
The next question comes from Devansh Agrawal from DPS Chandigarh. Devansh, over to you. The question is for Dr. Kiran Bedi. Devansh, over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, so as the first female were to become the officer rank in IPS, what were the ups and downs in your career and the most challenging case or problem you had to solve?
There were only ups for me. There was no down for me. They were all ups for me. And there was little down for my internal senior department, because they start to wonder how will they deal with a woman. So there was a down for my seniors, wondering what will they do with a woman, because I was the first woman to join the officer ranks. And suddenly, this woman, how will she fire? How will she deal with the lathi charge? How will she disperse a mob? How will she do her night rounds? How will she deal with organized crimes, etc.? So they had a little question mark. I knew what I wanted, and I knew. And Devansh, when I joined the service, I was the Asian tennis champion. So I had more stamina than many of my male colleagues. I could run miles and miles more than marathons, which many men did. So I joined the service as a champion. So when you are in sports and academics, you are doubly advantaged. But my seniors were still in a question mark. But over a period, that settled. But I must tell you, people were very excited. People were very happy that there was a woman who was entering the Indian Police Service. I was excited. People were excited. But some of my seniors had a little question mark. How does she get into a man's world? How would she deal with male colleagues and juniors? But it didn't take me too long to get accepted. It did not take me long. Why? Because I started to work with them, for them, alongside them, and learning and communicating. So that is what that quality of integrity helped me to immediately get assimilated. And of course, whatever comes, the lots of cases, I had violent cases, I had crimes against women cases, I had very serious organized crime cases. I did that. But you remember, when you work as a police officer in the department, you work as a team. As a team. So I did work as a team, and the more I worked as a team, the more I succeeded. So it's been a success story. However, there is a biography in my life called I Dare. If you ever, that's also available on Amazon. It lists out all the police, my chapters of departments concerned. You can have a look at that. And it gives nothing but innovative policing, reformative policing, even prisons management, where I had the toughest of the criminals whom I was supervising. Maybe it was the first time a woman headed as a governor of a prison anywhere in the world. But I had 10,000 men in that. But each one of them went to school inside. When I started a school inside, everybody went to school and studied. And that's another book now called It's Always Possible. So if you read the biography, you will get to know how I could deliver with courage. See, the basis was integrity and courage. It's a great combination. If you're honest and you're courageous, the sky's open for you.
The next question comes from Chinmay Joshi. Chinmay, over to you. The question is for Dr. Kiran Bedi.
Hello, everyone, and especially Dr. Kiran Bedi. It's an honor to ask a question personally to you. So you've said that at the starting of your career from 1972, you were always fearless and confident in yourself. My question is, can you elaborate on the point on being fearless and being reckless?
Reckless means immature behavior, where you drive yourself and others into a hellhole. Or it's like, okay, let's go to the forest without a forest guard and have a look at the lion and the tiger. And no problems, we will climb a tree if the tiger comes. Now that's reckless. But courageous is, let's go to the forest, let's take a guard along, let's take our due precautions, let's understand what it means, but let's go. But let's go with the guard along. So you're still courageous, You're still going to the forest. You still want to see the tiger and the wildlife, but you are taking due care and precautions wherever they are available. But you're still going, right? But recklessness is, no, let's go. We don't need a forest guard. We know what to do. We'll climb a tree and let's have a lot of fun. Otherwise, what's the point having a guard? He'll stop you. That's reckless behavior. That's a difference.
So we can say that being reckless is being fearless, but too overconfident and not thinking of possible consequences about the situation that you're going to approach.
Yeah, being reckless is being foolish, but being courageous is being wise.
Thank you, ma'am.
The next question is from Shuchi Laha for Ms. Dipali Khanna. Shuchi, over to you for the question. Okay, I think Shuchi is facing some technical issue. I'll ask her question. If you're there, Shuchi, you can just stop me in the middle. So the question that Shuchi had submitted, that success and failure are both integral parts of life, and I'm pretty sure that all the members of the teen parliament are actually facing that every day, because here, if they want to be a parliamentarian, they have to keep working. If they do not work on issues, they lose their membership as a member of parliament. So she has asked a question to Dipali ma'am that share with us a failure story from which we all can derive some strength.
Sir, I hope I'm audible now. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yes, Shuchi, please, over to you.
So I'm really honored I got this opportunity. I'm the member of parliament. I'm from Bedi High School, and I'm really honored that I got this opportunity to speak and be a part of this Volting Parliament. I'd like to repeat the question again. Success and failure are integral parts of life, and I'm pretty sure we as the members of Parliament and as the teen influencers, we are going to face both ups and downs. So any failure story you draw strength and inspiration from, which you'd like to share with us?
Shuchi, that's a great question. And I think, I'm constantly, I encourage people to fail, honestly, because, many a times we just kind of otherwise want to build up a perfect project, a perfect, solution to something. And the risk of failing is kind of makes us just not take the plunge. And I think, my philosophy in life has been that, the issues that you're dealing with need a solution. If you go as Dr. Bedi was saying, you're authentic about what you're trying to do, you're fearless about what you're wanting to do, and you take risks, and I think the failure piece shouldn't be front and center, because, there's a learning out of every failure. So that's how I approach life. And I say, look, anything that I want to do, I'm going to do it sincerely. I'm going to do it with the best of my ability. I will never want to be looking back and saying, if only I had put in 110% of my time instead of putting that 80% time. So I don't want to have any ifs and buts around what I tried to do, but at the end of it, with all good intentions, with all the necessary, risks that I've tried to kind of address, if I fail, I'll learn something from it. So I think for me, even today, I'm constantly being bold. I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I'm trying to try out new things. And in that journey, of course, that mentorship that I get, I have people who are there to support me, because when you fail, you feel very let down. Your self-esteem, it does affect me. It's not that I'm failing, because, I want to be part of a winning team. I want to be seeing success. And success for me is not about materialism success, but, I'm in the social sector. I really want to bring about change in people's lives. I've implemented projects which haven't delivered on the results that I wanted to see happen. So obviously, with all that I did, I was not able to get to that outcome. Is demoralizing, but then you have your mentors, you have your support system. I have my professional colleagues, I have my personal colleagues, I have my family, and I can talk to them and really kind of analyze, so that next time around, I don't make the same mistake. So, it's constantly about how are you being fearless, but again, not being reckless, doing everything that, you think needs to be done to address that issue, be bold. If you fail, you learn from it and move on, So I think life is a journey where you're constantly learning. And I'm sure Dr. Bedi would say the same thing. There's every day there's some kind of a situation where there isn't a ready-made recipe for success. And, we're all trying to do our best to succeed. But in that, even if we fail, I don't think that should bother you, as long as you can learn from it and not repeat that same mistake again. Shachi, does that answer your question? I didn't talk about a failure, but because I have many failures and every day I'm learning.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now the failure word won't have the failure tag, but the lesson tag.
Absolutely, Shuchi. You said it much better than I did.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
The next question comes from Umeza Fatima for Dr. Kiran Bedi. Umeza, over to you.
Hello, ma'am. My name is Umeza Fatima, and I'm an 8th grader from Bright Public School, and I'm extremely honored to be able to ask you a question. So my question to you is, what are the main challenges for female world leaders, and what, according to you, would be the 2 best ways to overcome them?
I think the challenge before females would be earning the full trust of their countrymen. How much trust they get of their own countrymen? I think that's a real challenge. How do they unite their own country behind them? That is a challenge. But I personally think they are no less than anybody else. It's just their own belief. And if they have their own belief that they are better, look how New Zealand has done, how Taiwan has done, how the Swedish countries have done. Many of them have, in the COVID times, proven better, or how Germany did. So I think it was their own belief. I don't see a challenge. In fact, the challenge is for others, that the women may prove out to be better. I don't see a challenge, because they won't come this far if they won't have had the confidence. I think the only challenge is, how do they keep confidence of the people with them? How do they keep communicating with them? How do they keep earning their own reputation? How do they keep their own performance intact? I personally think the COVID time proved that some women leaders outsmarted the men, though it's not, I'm not being parochial or anti-men, but they proved it. Taiwan proved it, New Zealand proved it, Germany proved it, and some of the Nordic countries proved it. These are 4 outstanding women who did brilliantly well. So I think the challenge is only they themselves. There is no other challenge.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And once again, I'm extremely honored to be able to ask you this question. And thank you so much for that really learning answer.
So now actually I have a question for both of our speakers before I actually invite the next member of parliament to ask you more questions. We are actually working with teenagers from schools from different parts of the world. So what we feel in the education ecosystem, one important area or one important gap that exists, and how do you as individuals with your experience, how do you think that gap, how can it be addressed or that can be bridged? The biggest challenge that we face right now in the education ecosystem is that we all want good people to be there in the society, but we are not teaching goodness to the students. We always teach them how to be clever, how to be super professional, but the complete ecosystem of value education has been completely eliminated in the whole process. We're all only focused on how do we make the maximum money for ourselves as individuals. So this question is actually open to both of you. Anyone from you can take it up and answer. And I would rather want both of your views to come onto this, because this is a perspective which would add a little more, understanding into our teen MPs, because we want them to believe in human capital, that they can ask for support from people. It's not the money that will solve all the problems in the world. It's people who will do that. So some ideas, some experience that you can share with these teenagers so that they get inspired on thinking on these lines.
No, I think, Daksha, you've hit the nail on the head. Our values are most important, and I guess your grounding around your core values really come from your family system first, even before you get into the school system, right? So I think, it's not just about preaching about values, but the behaviors. And, our children, our teenagers are really, really smart. You can't be preaching to them and talking about trust, collaboration, accountability when they see their own, within their own families or within the school system, that, those values are not being practiced. So I think, what is really important is for all the teen parliamentarians to really, consider what are the core values, and they're non-negotiable. I mean, I think you can negotiate on many other things, but, on your value base, you can't. So, really determining what are your core values, and come what may, that's going to never falter in any circumstance, right? And you will also make sure that your behaviors truly reflect those values, because, you can't be screaming from the rooftop and saying, well, I have these values. People have to perceive them. People have to experience them. So, in your interactions, and not just within your own ecosystem, but most importantly, where it comes into play is how do you treat your own, you have domestic help, you have your drivers, you have the communities where you kind of go out where that are not that privileged. So how are you really truly reflecting your values when you're interacting with people who don't have the privileges that you have? And the more you can start internalizing this, I think, it'll really be able to make you a much better leader, because I think what we need is leaders who live by values, who really walk the talk. That's really needed. And I think all of you have all the good values, but I think, the kind of systems in which you're living, there is a way where those could get eroded for whatever reason. But I would strongly, strongly urge you, don't fall into the trap. Just live with, your core values, what you really believe in, because that's really what is important. And those are the kind of leaders that we need. Everybody that Dr. Bedi mentioned, these are all women who really practice and walk the talk around the values, that they believe in. So I think that is really critical. So whether you come from the US, you come from Spain, you come from India, they're universal values. So I think, it's not also about your identity as being an Indian or being a Spanish or whatever. The core universal values for humanity are the same, and really kind of focus on that, live them truly. And wherever, you're seeing people are not practicing them, call each other out, because at times, many of us may not even be aware of the kind of way we are interacting and the impact it has on the other person. So I think even calling it out and being much more observant about it, because that way you can also help the other person and saying that, maybe you weren't kind of meaning this, but this is how your value got reflected to me, and this is how I feel about it. Let me stop over here.
Kiran ma'am, your perspective on this, that this gap really exists, that we want good people in the society, but we teach them to be clever. So there's a big gap that comes in. So how can that be addressed?
I think, I believe we are not focusing on good parenting, because all these value systems come from home. The first person, if I would say, if I learned to respect all, or I learned to be compassionate, or I learned to be humble, where did I learn from? Did I learn from a book? Yeah, book said, be that. Did I learn it from a teacher? Yes, she said that. But what I saw practiced at home made all the difference. So I think what the world community needs to do work on is parenting. I don't think parents really know how to parent. Today, some of us, the parenting are all trial and error. Every child brought into this world is a major responsibility and a contribution to humanity. All right, it's a number and a contribution to humanity, but where's the humanity, the human values? Also, we have absentee parents, we have busy parents, we have missing fathers, we have single mothers. I think we have lots of issues on parenting. It's too late to learn values once the child child age is gone. Languages of goodness and humanity are learned as you grow. And once the foundation of values is made, nothing else shakes you. Nothing shakes you. And where is the foundation made? It's made at home. School is few hours. School is a lot of exams. School is about numbers and courses and syllabus. The real nursery of humanity is home. And the real first primary teachers for teaching human values is the mother and the father, and not only the mother or the grandparents. So I think we need to have some system where we focus on parenting, but we do not have any parenting programs. We do not have parenting awareness. They think child is born and now the child will grow and the school will take care. It doesn't happen like that. My second suggestion would be, while homes nurture, and if there is a home, something got missing there, then make community service, community giving as a part of schooling. They have to do a good deed daily. All right, every child be asked to say, what good deed did you do? What good deed did you do? Maintain. There are some groups, communities in India called the Jain community, which I've associated with also, where they have given a diary to every school child saying, write one page every day, what good deed did you do? So it's grooming through the community, but it's goodness served. So they are Rajasthan based, Mr. Gaur. They are Rajasthan based, this Jain community, and they circulate this copy, which one of those copies I had a function, I was part of the function of, so I'm aware of this. So they are inculcating values while from plus home plus school, encourage them to maintain a page of what good deed did you do. Now, in that good deed, it could be helping others, it could be giving, it could be sharing, it could be a word, it could be deed, it could be any value system. So I think unless we inculcate this early and make them conscious that this has to be practiced and done, I think till then it's getting too late. We are bringing these talks, etc., by the time the boys and girls are in the universities. And that time, the priority is, how do I get a good career? How do I get a good placement? And how could I now settle down with a proper secure bank balance, or I find partners in life? Value system is now grown with them, whether it's comprehensive, whether it's exhaustive, whether it's partial. So the real work is, I think, parenting. And secondly, encouraging a diary regularly of good deed, and the child assessed on the number. That will get internalized, because practical, as Dipali also said, it's about practical. So they are now okay, I did this for my sister, I did this for my neighbor, I did this for a citizen, I'm a good Samaritan in this way. So every day it's settling in there. Or leave the city, the classroom clean as a part of community giving. Or after school, before they enter college, 1 year of community service. Go and serve the community. Find out what you look at what you want to do with your life, rather than rushing into a university. Give them a sabbatical. Sometime every youth gets a sabbatical in between. Go and work for the have-nots. For the have-not. You're the have. Okay, go work for the have-not. Then they realize the value and a sense of gratitude. Without a sense of gratitude, no values really take root.
That sense of gratitude, working for the have-nots. I think all the teen MPs must focus on this as well, because while you're working on your ideas, keep believing in the goodness of people, keep believing in sharing that, okay, if you're good, more and more good people will come around you, and you'll build a good community around you. Now we are actually having the last 2 or 3 minutes of the discussion. We're going to conclude. So before we conclude, a small question that actually comes from all the teenagers all the time. There's a very peculiar habit that most of the teenagers have, and most of us, when we were a teen, we also had, that teens get offended very easily, and with that small little offense that they take, they lose focus. So how should they be handling that? Because with the age coming in, with maturity coming in, we understand that whenever we got offended, we learned a lot. So any experience or any one small anecdote or anything that you can tell them as a piece of advice, that how should they handle whenever they get offended? Because that's a very basic feeling that teenagers face quite regularly. So anyone from you can, give their thoughts on this.
Dipali, you first.
I'm thinking, I guess, it's a natural feeling. Even if you get offended, that's okay. Like, that doesn't become the end of the life. We all in life, the moments, that's an emotion, you live through that emotion, but get out of it very quickly. That's not the end of the world. I feel hurt, but again, you control your own feelings, right? So how you manage that is going to be important. You don't kind of go on about it, because you have to bounce back, right? You feel offended. Now the other person is not going to change their way of approaching you because you felt offended. You need to change your own reaction to somebody who next time again will do the same thing to you. So how do I prepare myself? Because you have no control or influence on the other person. You only can change your feelings and your own reactions. So become, that, this person is always going to be saying these things to offend me, to run me down or whatever, but I'm not going to let them get the better of me. I am not going to fall into the trap where they're going to make me feel demotivated, demoralized, and put me into a corner. I have control. I have the power. I'm going to be fearless. I'm going to manage my own perceptions the way I want to. And hopefully, if I react differently, they will next time be much more cognizant and change their approach of how they deal with me. That's what I would say, because you only have control over yourself. You don't have control over others. So try and become stronger in terms of dealing with these issues, and you have the ability to do that. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. I would think that this is something I did as a student. So I'll share with you what I did to keep my focus and self management, because certain things you can't all the time say I'm in this trouble. So what do? I did a lot of self-talk. I used to do a lot of self-talk. I used to maintain a personal diary of mine. I used to write a page, and I used to open a page saying, hello friend, today I did this. So hello friend, I did this mistake. Today, friend, I'm very proud of myself. It's a self-talk. So it's a maintenance of your diary. Now in this, you may write in your hand or you maintain a folder of your own. But self-talk, now what is self-talk? Basically, self-talk is about self-awareness. If you can inculcate a habit of self-awareness early on in age, somebody is observing you and telling you, but how about you observing yourself? A habit of listening to yourself, habit of self-observing yourself, habit of self-watching your mind. It's mind management. What's happening to me? Now, if you can, and you are all in this age to practice this, friends. You're all in this age. I'm not talking to a 9-year-old. Even 9-year-old today can be taught. But you are just that right age to be getting the focus back, because you are very distracted at the moment by social media. Social media tools have distracted you. In fact, yesterday, I do a Friday show. Every Friday evening, I do a grooming leadership program where we choose 6 leaders, 6 youngsters, 18 to 22, brought on my show called the Friday Book Reading. And in the Friday Book Reading, every 15 days, we do this. Do you know one of the biggest challenge which the youth today is having is lack of focus? Because I'd given them an assignment to read. To come before, I'd given them an assignment to read. And Mr. Gaur, none of them had properly read. Then I asked them, I said, you were coming to me, and I'm going to ask you because I've given you a task, a chapter to read. And how many of you have gone a little beyond the chapter? By the way, I gave them a soft copy of the Fearless Governance. And I was doing the first chapter with them. Believe me, some of them will not even come back reading the first chapter, because from the questions they were asking me, I got back to say, but you haven't read. And I was surprised that I found reading deficiency. And then they asked me one by one, ma'am, we have a problem of distraction. We are not concentrating. We can't concentrate on reading. So self-observation, reading habits, fixing your timetable, maintaining your own diary, self-witnesses are very critical habits for the youth today. I think the biggest challenge for the youth around the world is lack of focus, time management. because social media tools are totally distracting them, and it's taking away their reading habits and self-management habits. They are now being managed more by the notifications rather than self-observation. So I think we need to balance this out. How does the youth do? And I tried to tell them exactly the same thing yesterday. I said, reading habit, you have to put aside. You put aside, lock away your notifications, switch it off if you can, or put it as distant away. Put some time to yourself on a regular basis where you read. But that reading needs attention. The attention span is gone. But I think the other issue is how do you watch your own observation is yoga, meditation, yoga, meditation, chanting, praying, and self-talk, personal diary, mind management, mind watch. All these are tools which they can adopt. So I think that's the key for this leadership to develop now. Better now than late.